Good morning. Good morning. Welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you on this Wednesday morning. Amen. God bless you. I hope everyone is feeling well and doing well. And today was a good day because you got up this morning. Every day is a beautiful day. Now let's get on into our lesson for today. Amen. The first session for this year, 2022, we talked about conversations you should have before marriage. And then last week we talked about your role in the marriage. In other words, what your part in the marriage or what you bring to the table for the marriage. Now today we're going to be talking about something that is bound to happen sooner or later. Disagreements in the marriage. Okay. Disagreements in the marriage. Most disagreements come from something that was said or done. Let me repeat that. Most disagreements come from something or stem from something that was said or done. Now, when you have a disagreement, don't let it escalate. And sometimes when we have disagreements in a marriage, we tend to let it escalate, or we get to a point where you start saying things that are hurtful to the other party. And disagreements are going to naturally happen in a marriage because you have two personalities that are striving to be one. After you get married, you are one, but you have to work at being one because you're bringing two different personalities together. And usually, you hear people say opposites attract, which is true because you want to bet, and that's usually what balances that marriage out when you have two opposites. So naturally, you're going to have disagreements. What you do or say in that disagreement, how you handle that disagreement, will determine the outcome of the disagreement. Did you get anywhere with that disagreement? Did you take your marriage to another level, or did you have a setback where you bringing up all old stuff and and people used to say years ago, don't let the sun go down on your argument, which is still true to this day. Don't go to bed angry at each other, and because once you do that, then you're gonna wake up the next morning doing the same thing, feeling angry and disappointed, and then you got to take that attitude into your job, and then the folks on the job gonna have to what's wrong with her? What's wrong with him? The first thing they gonna say, I thought they were saved. That's the church man, the church woman. Look at him, got an attitude. And usually that's what happens because you've had an argument with your spouse. That's why you should never let that. You should come to some kind of compromise before you go to bed, so that way you won't go to bed angry at each other. Excuse me, and then wake up the next day and you both have an attitude and you're mad at each other. When your spouse says something about her, this is let me go back on this one. When you are in an argument, or when you're just talking, because this will come up when you have a disagreement. When your spouse is, she might be venting, and she might say something about her relatives or her mother or something. Please don't add to it. Because if you add to it, trust me, it'll come back up when you have a disagreement. Like for instance, she said, I'm so tired of mama or daddy doing this and that and the other. Don't say nothing when she says that. Because if you say something, yeah, they'll leave you alone, and so and so and so, it come back up, because people say, I can talk about my people, but you can't. They say about their kids too. I can talk about my kids, but you can't. Same thing with your spouse and their relatives. They can talk about their relatives. Just say, oh, okay, all right, I understand. don't agree with that. And when you're angry with your spouse, don't go telling everybody your business. Not, it's different if you go into therapy or something, you want to resolve an issue or something, you go into therapy. That's a different story. But don't go telling your friends and people about what happened in your household. And it could be something, and then you forgive him, and then when you forgive him, then you take him around your friends or family, and then they go looking at him funny because they still remember what you said about him. Don't don't tell your folks about what you guys were arguing about. Try not to argue around children. That's another issue. When you have little children, because they don't understand what's going on. And when you argue around your children, usually it changes their whole attitude. They might get to school and and act out. And teachers are they don't normally. They're normally a calm child, and knowing don't have problems with them. And but this particular time, you notice you're having problems with with your child because they've seen you argue. So try to keep the arguments. Don't argue around your kids, and if they happen to walk up on you and just say, "We having a discussion." That's what you say. You're just having a discussion. But you know what? A lot of times when we have these arguments, they're usually over something stupid. So. And then usually the enemy always come in on a Sunday morning. You're trying to get ready for church or something, and something will come up, and you two might get into an argument or something. So make sure that we are getting along with each other, enjoying each other's company and fellowship. And if you continually having arguments or something, you might. Again, I always stress seeking marriage counsel and then counseling, and then you can resolve a lot of issues that way. But if you have a good pastor, you might want to go to the pastor and just sit down with him, the both of you or one-on-one, either way, and resolve the things, because the enemy don't want families to be together. And when you want and have a family, those are the things that you want to stay away from. It's going to happen. You're going to have disagreements, but don't let them escalate. Don't let them. Don't take it through the night into the next day, and then days, and you sleeping on the couch or you sleeping in a different room. Yeah, see that's not right. You have to make sure you come to an agreement. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree. It don't always want to be the one with the last word, and the one that always got to be right. Sometimes even though you're right, don't mean it's time to voice your rightness or your opinion, or I told you I was right. Didn't I tell you? No. And a lot of our arguments stem over finances. That's why you have to make sure you're on agreement with your financing. With your finance, you have to make sure you're in agreement. When you're spending money, is make sure you're in agreement. Make sure you're paying the bills and taking care of everything together. And if you do things together, most of the time there won't be an argument. Arguments usually are things that and stop bringing up old stuff. If you forgave somebody for something from years ago, please don't keep bringing it up, because when you start bringing it up, then that sets off a whole new argument. Then they got to bring up something. Then to just squash the arguments and try to keep it to a minimum. Where if you're disagreeing on something, it's fine. Everybody's going to have a disagreement. Again, like I said, you have two personalities, and the enemy preys on that, trying to make you get into an argument and start reminding you of stuff. You had forgot all about that. And then all of a sudden you remembering stuff from 20 years ago. Remember that time and you said this and arguments over because the husband didn't remember exact time and what you had on. Who remembers that? Sometimes I don't even remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. You expected that man to remember you had on a red dress with some stripes in it. Hey, who you thinking about? I ain't had no black dress on that day. That arguments is just crazy, things, because he said your eggs didn't taste like they did last week. So, who cares? You didn't say my food was good after you done cooked and he done ate it. And, he done just forgot to say, oh, it was a wonderful meal. You get mad. I ain't cooking nothing else. Next time you have to cook it yourself. Little crazy stuff like that. And on Sunday mornings, the enemy, you running behind, and he might say, "Oh, we running late. Don't be rushing me." That usually always happens on Sunday mornings. You know what? Once you get past and mature in your marriage, because I can't remember the last time my wife and we've had discussions where we haven't had no real heated arguments where, and you got to go in another room or you got to walk down the street to cool off. And it's 15 below, you walking down the street to cool off. You going to be cool off? All right. When you mature in your marriage, that's why after you fall in love and walk in love, then you grow in love. And when you, when you grow in love, then arguments come to memory. You never really have arguments. You might have disagreements, but never any like heated arguments, with your spouse and things of that nature. You tend to know how to back off, know when to shut up. Because sometimes just because you have the truth don't mean you gotta always say it, or just because you right, that don't mean you gotta always. Yeah, I told you, didn't I tell you? No, just let it go. Some stuff you just gotta let it go. And if there's things that coming in it keeps coming up in your marriage from something that you experienced before you met your spouse, again, you might want to get some sort of counseling, because some people bring over baggage from another marriage, and if they had a spouse that cheated on them, every time they look around they thinking they new spouses, but that was a whole different. That was with Willie, Now you with Johnny, so Johnny and Willie are two different people. So you have to let that stuff. We have to learn to let things go. And it's hard sometimes, especially if you were traumatized in a previous relationship. You might have had an abusive spouse or something, or you might have been in a relationship where your spouse was unfaithful. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get over that. But with time and sometimes counseling and prayer and things like that, you'll be able to overcome that. So let's keep our arguments to a minimum and not have them. Well, let's not say arguments. Let's keep our disagreements to a minimum and don't let them escalate and don't let them go over into the next day. This is Pastor Larry saying to you, or asking you, let's talk marriage. Until we meet again, we're going to be coming up with some other topics that we're going to be covering during these sessions. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you are planning on getting married, make sure you watch these sessions. If you already married and you're looking to improve your marriage or have questions that you need answering, feel free to send me any questions. Just jot them down. I'll answer them as soon as I can, and just put them on the Facebook page there, and I'll get back with you. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry saying, let's talk marriage.